Well, an Australian company has signed a $300 million deal with the Biden administration to ramp up production and distribution of at-home COVID tests in the United States. Ellume, a Brisbane-based digital diagnostics firm, will deliver over 8 million at-home tests after being the first company to win approval from the US regulators to provide over-the-counter COVID tests back in December. For more now, I'm joined from Brisbane by the founder and CEO of Ellume, Dr. Sean Parsons. Sean, congratulations, I have to say from the outset. This is terrific news for Australian innovation. It's a huge contract for your company. I'm sure you're pleased about all of that. But I think all of us at home are saying an Australian company that creates an at-home COVID test, pretty amazing. So how does it work and how quickly do users get their results?
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having me to be with you. Yes, we're very pleased about this deal, which has been announced by the Biden administration overnight in the White House briefing of the COVID-19 task force. It involves expanding our manufacturing capability beyond our facility that we have here in Australia and setting up another facility, a bigger facility in America, and producing over 500,000 tests a day before the end of the year. As part of that, we're supplying the US government with 8.5 million tests, and they'll be looking to distribute those out to the American people, and all of the other tests which we make will be going out through those other channels, through retail pharmacy, and so on and so forth. The test is a single-use test. It connects to your smartphone via Bluetooth. There is an app that walks you through how to use the test. You take a swab, you apply it to a little analyzer, and you get the result in 15 minutes. It's been designed to be very simple to use, and it's been authorised by the FDA for testing adults and children who are symptomatic or asymptomatic with COVID-19.
One of the issues has been, people's reluctance to get testing. They're pretty confident they haven't got it, but, a lot of people haven't, and they may not be as symptomatic as others. They're reluctant to go and have the testing because it means they could be 2 or 3 days off work and they're at home and they're isolated. This is a much faster system of 15 minutes. It's at home. What's the sort of cost that the consumer might be paying for these tests, or is the government paying for them and they're coming out as part of a free rollout? Well, how's that working?
In the US, the tests which the US government buys will be rolled out at their discretion, and I presume they'll be sent to military and essential service staff. In the consumer world, the test is going to cost, initially it'll be in the 30s, a little on the higher end of that in the beginning, I think, and with a target of getting that down towards $30 with scale. Some of the insurers have expressed an interest in being able to have tests which they can send out to their participants to reduce the overall cost and enable people to get tested without having to go into a clinic or a hospital and risk either transmitting the virus or being infected with the virus in the process.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. In the case of all these security guards running hotel quarantine, they could be testing before they go to work. They could be testing when they come home from work, and if they are then infectious, they could avoid infecting the rest of their household or second jobs and all the other circumstances we had. You're an Australian-run company, very proudly so. Have you been talking to the Australian government about the use of your tests here?
We have had discussions with the Australian government about our tests here. There are some legislative barriers which prohibit a home test for COVID being authorised by the TGA. Those legislative changes there's a list essentially of diseases where a home test is capable of being approved by the TGA. COVID-19 isn't on the list. Influenza is, and a whole bunch of other things, but not COVID-19. Our view, though, is that Australia should keep doing what we're doing in terms of tracking down every case through the laboratory infrastructure. Our test is best designed for places like America, where there is huge numbers of COVID cases, and they're trying to catch every single one to identify them as early as possible and reduce the transmission within the community. The question for Australia is, what is going to happen when we relax the border restrictions? When there's been relatively widespread vaccinations, we wind back the hotel quarantine. COVID is going to come into our community, there's no doubt about that, And when that happens, we need a plan to be able to deal with that, to enable people to get tested early and to connect those people into appropriate treatments, and hopefully treatments are available in the not too distant future, and also encourage them to socially isolate and reduce their transmission to other people around them.
Well, I hope we don't wait till that all happens and then go looking for a solution such as yours. I hope those conversations and those legislative fixes happen as required. Sean Parsons, Dr. Sean Parsons, congratulations on this big win for your company today, but I think it's terrific news for Australian innovation. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Peter.